Hi, my name is Bob Raybould. In 1961, I graduated from college and was a second lieutenant in the United States Army. 2 months later, the Berlin Wall went up and my orders were changed and I went to Germany. It was the greatest thing that ever happened. Instead of being a second lieutenant in a finance office, as most of the other ones were, because I was a couple of years older, I replaced a major and became the report of survey officer for 7th Army. Reports of survey are done when somebody damages or destroys government property, and it's done by the commanding officer or the executive officer until it gets to Army, and then it switches to the finance corps. So I was reviewing the work of lieutenant colonels and colonels, and I had unlimited power to assign responsibility to the person who'd done the damaging or the loss, or relieve them of responsibility. I had an office with 2 or 3 employees, 2 or 3 young enlisted men as employees. We had a great time. I was free on weekends. The most marvelous thing that happened to me. When I came home, soon after I got home, I got married. And then I completed my MBA and started selling insurance. I was working 70 hours a week, working as hard as I could and as smart as I could, and not making much progress. And I had an MBA, and so after 15 months, I quit, sent out letters, ended up with a job with a large corporation in New York, where I worked for 2.5 years. Then I realized that I wasn't set out for a large corporation, and I went back to selling insurance. Luckily, I started listening to a recording called The Strangest Secret in the World by Earl Nightingale. It told me to set a goal, and that by changing the way I thought about myself, I could change my results. So I set a goal, a very ambitious goal, to make 4 times as much as I had been making in this large corporation in New York, and do it in 2.5 years. Then it said, picture yourself doing what you're going to be doing after you've achieved your goal. And so the thing I wanted to do after I had achieved my goal was to drive a Porsche. So I went down to the Porsche dealer and I sat in a Porsche. And when I sat down in that Porsche and touched the steering wheel, I discovered success by emotions, the tool described in my book. I felt different about myself. And from then on, every time I got in my Volkswagen and touched the steering wheel, I felt like the person who was driving a Porsche. I did that for 3 weeks. Every time I got in my car, feeling the same feelings, how I would be feeling after I had achieved my goal and while I was driving a Porsche. And after 21 days, I went from the night before being discouraged because I couldn't build up the courage to knock on another apartment house door, to being the person who knew he was going to succeed. And that night, instead of dreading it, I looked at my watch and saw that it was too late to go knock on any more doors. But I was ready to knock on them all night long because I was so excited and so confident that I would succeed. Sure, I went on and achieved my goal, drove a Porsche. Then the next year, without setting another goal, I doubled my income again. And then the next year, I doubled it again. And then the next year, I doubled it again. And finally, over a 6.5 year period, I doubled my income 6 times. That's a big increase. As far as my net worth went, I moved from being almost financially bankrupt 1 year to 11 years later being financially independent. So this tool blessed my life in huge ways in the financial area, all because I had learned how to change the way I see myself. That's what's in this book. And it's incredible. And until you've experienced it, you won't believe it. Once you've experienced it, you'll go from thinking you're traveling in a straight line like on a train or driving a car or in a bus or in a stagecoach to flying in a jet plane, just going from where you start to where you want to be and being happy during the entire journey and traveling that journey in half the time. It's an incredible experience. Enjoy the book, Success by Emotions, but more than that, enjoy using the tool, and more than that, enjoying gaining additional truth in your life and being happy during the entire journey. Good luck.